All right. Now, as we do all of our billing and our documents in order, at some point we're going to end therapy with these patients. So in order to end therapy, we want to use the End Track button that is located at the bottom left corner of the track area. As we click End Track, we will have some questions to answer. The system will identify the date to end the track using the last treatment day, and then we're going to be required to identify the reason for ending the track. So you have options available in a drop-down. You'll make the appropriate selection. You also want to identify if therapy is ending due to an unexpected discharge from the facility. Once you answer those and click OK, then it will take you into a discharge summary unless we see that there's documents that are still outstanding that you need to do or complete. So in this case, we want to make sure that before we click that End Track button, you have everything completed up to that point. And then, of course, it'll allow you to go in. For training here, we're going to do the override option just so we could see the discharge summary. Along the top here, as this loads, we'll have patient information, medical record number, start of care, and discharge dates. The General tab is just going to consist of the clinician name, the reason for the discharge, and if this is an unplanned facility discharge. So you'll review it before moving on the Status at Discharge tab. As you click on that tab, it will show you all of the active goals at the time of discharge. And what we want to do is update the goals to identify if the goal is met or discontinued at this time. So you will have to do that for each goal. You'll select the Update button, address the status, and that's either goal met or discontinued. Those are the only two options there, and then you'll put in the current function of the patient. Okay, and you'll repeat that until you get all of the goals updated. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do this with discontinued for each one of them. Even those custom goals, we'll have to type in our current function, okay, and the long-term goals as well. As we enter that information in, then we move on to the Assessment tab. There's 3 sections here for all disciplines. We start out with the summary, which is the summary since last progress report, as well as the summary since last evaluation and start of care. Those are your skilled interventions, your patient and caregiver training, and your patient progress response to treatment. Okay, the next item is your discharge status, the discharge status and functional outcomes. So we'll put in all those details. You'll have requirements as well as any additional information, that you're going to include. Once you run through that, the last section is your discharge recommendations. Okay. Just like any other document, once you fill everything out, we're going to mark it complete. We're going to save it. When we mark a document complete and we save, of course, it's going to ask you to e-sign so you can say yes or no to that. As you complete a discharge summary, it will close your therapy track on the screen. That designates that we are no longer treating with that discipline. Once all tracks are closed on the patient, then we can proceed to end the case to identify ending the episode of care with that patient. Okay. Now the track tabs are there so that if you click on them, it will expand so that you can see the historical information if you ever need to go back and print out a document. So that's there. But just know that we want to make sure all tracks are closed, and then the rehab director can go ahead and end the case when they're ready. Okay, and that process is not going to change. We just want to make sure that the tracks are closed by doing that discharge summary. In the event that maybe somebody does a discharge summary ahead of time, let's say PT does the discharge summary but did not realize that the PTA wasn't finished putting billing in the system. So I need to have a way to go back and reopen this for a limited period of time. So what we have is an Inactivate option. So we can use the Edit option on that discharge summary. It's going to open up the document. Because it was completed, of course, we're going to need to unlock it. So we have the Unlock button at the bottom left corner. Now that it's unlocked, you'll see an Inactivate option, which again is another special right. And this will allow us to inactivate it. So it's no longer going to be active. And we're going to click Save on the right. Now, of course, we're going to get prompted for the e-signature, so I'm just going to say no to that for right now. And we're also going to see that we have to enter our password to make sure that we save these changes that we're doing to the document. Once we click OK, because this is no longer an active discharge summary, this immediately reopens the therapy track. Okay? And you'll see it says Open. The discharge is listed with a strike through to indicate It's no longer used. It's still there. It's in the system, but it's not an active document. At this point, then we could have that assistant put in that billing or whatever they were missing. Once they do that, if we need to go ahead and reactivate that discharge, we can use the edit option and repeat the process of unlocking and unchecking the inactivate item. Okay, so we're going to unlock, uncheck the inactivate item. When you do that, it removes the reason for discharge. So you have to put that back in. Everything else is still the same, and it holds all the information. But that's the one field that it removes for just for you to just address that is the reason for the discharge now. And we click Save. You can e-sign it if you'd like, and then, of course, put your password in order to make the changes stick. Once we do that and click OK, then this is now the active discharge summary, and because it's active and complete, it closes the track. So just wanted to show you have that option there. You could inactivate any document if you needed to, but commonly that's the item that it's used for if you ever need to, reopen the track. So that's just something I wanted to show you. Speaking about the hot list earlier, we are going to tell you when your documents are due or upcoming or overdue. So the hot list, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. You'll have a documentation is due or overdue item. It's going to retrieve that here in a minute. But it looks ahead 7 days to see if there's any documents missing. And then it also looks in the past to see if there's anything overdue. And it will give you the patient name, the name of the document. It's going to tell you the due date, and it's going to tell you an action item. And the action is, do you need to complete it still? Do you need to create it? Or do you need to e-sign it? Okay, and we're going to just pause for a moment and get that information on the screen, just taking a moment to load that list. But it's a good item to look at. You guys should look at on a daily basis. Here we go. It's published. Now this is an outrageous number here just because it's a training site and we don't actually log daily. But you get the details here. Patient name, discipline and document name, due date, action, do you need to complete it, do you need to create it, or do you need to e-sign it? And if we can identify the responsible therapist name, we will. And that's the responsible therapist tagged on the therapy track, not necessarily for the document. As you look through this, just want to work it, make sure you have all that information entered into the system and we're doing these documents in a timely manner. Another item to tie in with the documents is the missing signatures. So this will allow you to address any staff that needs to sign off on billing or documents. So these are all global lists. You guys will work together as a team to get it resolved. But if you see your name in the missing signature item, you could double click in order to open up your e-signatures on the right. Make sure you review your treatment encounter tab as well as your clinical documents tab. And we want to make sure that we're signing on these items in a timely manner. Okay. Another thing to mention, reports. So in the report console, I want to let you know that there's a few reports here that would make your lives a lot easier. So one is a documentation due dates report if you don't want to look at the hot list. With this one, you can change the criteria. So, maybe you're just going to pull for PT and you want to see just the PT documents that are due or overdue. So you'll have some parameters that are available that you can adjust. It looks 7 days ahead. If you only want to look 2 days ahead, that's fine. You can make some changes. But once you click View, it's going to give you the same information that the hot list does. Provides the detail of patient name, discipline and document, due date, and the action. Do you need to complete it, create it, or e-sign it? Another item which is good for meetings that you might do is a goal status report. So if you wanted to sheet of paper, all the goals currently that we're dealing with for that patient, and you want to know what the status was every time we did a document, this is the report for you. So you'll have the ability to see each goal. We identify when we completed a document, eval, progress reports, research. We'll tell you the name of the date of the document, the name of it, and then what was the status and what was the current function of the patient. Okay, so if we have a goal that we were working on and we've been identifying that we were continuing that for the last few progress reports, that's great for you to know, and we can also see what the current function of that patient was at every time we did a document. If we identified it was discontinued or met or any other status that is documented on the document, it will be listed here. So it's a great report for all the goals for each of your patients. Another item that is available here is a treatment encounter note details report. We call it a weekly 10 details report. With that one, it's great because it gives you a lot of detail regarding the last 7 days. So you'll see the patient name, frequency of the plan, payer information, diagnosis details, and precautions. You'll also see the CPT codes that were billed for the last 7 days, the details that were included in the note, when that note was signed, and who it was signed by. So good details, great for PRN staff that just might not be familiar with the patient. They're coming in to help out, and they could pull this and see, okay, these were the billing that was done. This was the information that was included in the note, and this is what we did. And so it's a good detail report for the last 7 days. Each patient's going to have their own sheet, and it's broken down by discipline. And again, that's the weekly treatment encounter note details. And I know there's a lot of information that we're covering today, so just want to let you know that in your help menu, under the online manual, we have a section for case management. If you expand that, we have a specific area for Rehab Optima documentation. This will cover all the documents that we covered today, step-by-step detail of each tab, everything you need to know about on how to fill out the documents. There's even details that we covered like upgrading, downgrading goals. Maybe you want to take a look at how to inactivate something again, full details on how to do that. And again, great reference tools if you guys are looking for something. Also keep in mind that you can contact us, support there to help you with any of your documents or any questions that you have even after you guys go live with the clinical documentation. And so they're there to help you. Feel free to give them a call, but we want to make sure that this is a smooth transition for you guys.